But hang on, because researchers in Turkey now claim they found indisputable evidence that the story of Noah's Ark was not a cautionary tale about the consequences of forsaking God, but a verifiable historical event.
For centuries, it was a Bible story, a myth, a legend. But what if the greatest flood in human history wasn't a warning, but an actual event? Deep in the rugged, isolated mountains of Turkey, researchers have just found something buried that changes everything. This is the land of Mount Ararat, a place where empires rose and fell and prophets walked the earth. Yet, with all its ancient history, nothing prepared modern science for the uncomfortable question now emerging from beneath the soil. Was this colossal ship real? And is it still there? Until recently, the scientific world firmly denied it. They called the Ark impossible. But now, new evidence is surfacing that is so powerful, so complex, that some scientists are beginning to panic. A Turkish pilot first spotted it in 1959, but what he saw from the air wasn't natural. It was the unmistakable outline of a vessel that should never have been there. Before we continue, subscribe for more discoveries where faith meets archaeology, and don't forget to turn on notifications for our next revelation from the Holy Land. Let's now proceed. For centuries, explorers searched the snowy peaks of Mount Ararat, hoping to find pieces of ancient wood, but the mountain guarded its secrets. Then, in the mid-20th century, attention shifted away from the summit. It was 1959. Captain Ilhan Durupunar, on a routine flight, noticed a strange shape in the valley below. It was a long, curved, symmetrical outline. It looked exactly like the hull of a massive ship. But it wasn't near a lake. It was thousands of feet above sea level, resting in a rugged, isolated landscape. When detailed aerial images were captured, the shape was undeniable. It was long and perfectly proportioned, uncannily similar to the massive vessel described in ancient scripture. For decades, the simple explanation that the formation was just erosion seemed enough. The boat-like outline became a geological footnote. But the advancement of technology always seeks the truth. In the last few years, a team of archaeologists and geologists from major institutions, including Istanbul Technical University and Andrews University, decided to return. They didn't come with shovels. They brought some of the most advanced testing equipment in the world. Their goal was simple: to answer once and for all if there was an artificial structure buried beneath this unique formation. They drilled deep into the site. They analyzed soil layers. Most importantly, they scanned far underground using powerful ground-penetrating radar. And as the data started to stream in, the scientists quickly realized this was not a normal rock formation. The word panic may sound dramatic, but it reflects a very real tension building within the scientific community. A verified discovery of Noah's Ark would do more than just make headlines. It would shatter the foundations of geology, archaeology, and human history as they are currently taught. It would immediately challenge long-accepted timelines about human civilization and engineering prowess. It would force a radical re-examination of ancient traditions that many thought were merely myths. If this vessel is real, it strongly supports the idea of a worldwide flood, an event global science has long discounted. It means early humans possessed the skill to build a vessel longer than a modern football field. And most critically, it aligns modern, hard data evidence with ancient scripture. The evidence in eastern Turkey is simply becoming too difficult to ignore. Recent analysis of the GPR data focused on the internal layout beneath the ground. The patterns aren't just walls, they look exactly like storage areas and large rooms. These are spaces big enough to hold animals, supplies, or equipment, consistent with the vessel's reported function. Even more telling, certain sections of the structure appear heavily reinforced. This suggests they were designed to support significant concentrated weight, the kind of weight created by thousands of animals, cargo, and multi-story architecture. If this structure is truly natural, it would be the single most perfectly ship-shaped, compartmented, and reinforced natural formation ever recorded on Earth. The statistics defy geology. The core question remains, why is it so perfectly preserved? The structure sits buried under layers of time, suggesting it was quickly enveloped by earth and debris after resting in the mountains. This fossilization process may be the very reason why the organic signatures and internal layout have survived intact for millennia. The structure is not pristine wood, it is a ghost of a ship, leaving behind only its dense chemical and architectural shadows. But those shadows are unmistakable. Every new test, every new scan, and every soil sample brings researchers closer to a truth that could literally rewrite history books across the globe. The flood story, whether spiritual or historical, has shaped humanity for thousands of years. It's a terrifying reminder of judgment, but also a profound symbol of hope and promise. The ancient scripture records that God remembered Noah, placing the rainbow in the sky as an eternal sign of mercy. The structure buried beneath the soil of eastern Turkey, with its organized rooms and fossilized timber, is more than just an archaeological find. It is a physical monument to that moment of deliverance. If the Ark truly is resting beneath those rugged peaks, its discovery isn't meant to frighten us. It is meant to remind us that ancient history is far more real and the events far more monumental than we ever dared to imagine. The scientific community can continue to deny the implication, but the evidence is now literally buried in the earth. The truth has surfaced. The first major surprise came from the soil samples taken from the site. Geologists expected the dirt inside the massive formation to look just like the dry, rocky, ordinary soil surrounding it, but that is not what they found. The soil inside the symmetrical shape had a deeply unusual chemistry. It contained high levels of elevated organic signatures. These were the exact chemical traces often left behind when large amounts of wood or other biological material decomposes over thousands of years. Think of it as a chemical shadow. Outside the formation, the soil was normal. Inside, the soil behaved as if a colossal object once occupied that space, something that had slowly rotted, broken down, and returned its components to the earth. Recent microscopic studies confirmed this. They revealed layers that resembled the compressed remains of long-aged timber. These traces were found in spots that matched the underground patterns perfectly. This wasn't rock decay. This was biological decay. It was the fingerprint of something that was once alive and then engineered. The organic soil was shocking enough, but the real moment of panic came when the scientists reviewed the data from the ground-penetrating radar. The radar screen, which maps subsurface structures, didn't show the random, jumbled patterns expected from natural rock layers. Instead, it showed clean, organized lines. Beneath the surface were long internal walls and evenly spaced beams. The data displayed horizontal divisions and repeating patterns consistent with human construction. Engineers studying the data reported the structure had defined corridors and multiple layers. These were not geological faults. These were organized compartments. The patterns aligned exactly with the descriptions found in Genesis. Make rooms in the ark and make it with lower, second, and third stories. The scans revealed shapes that nature simply does not form on its own. They were too straight, too symmetrical, too purposeful. One researcher commented privately that the formation looked like a massive ship that had been crushed, buried, and fossilized over millennia. The consistency between the organic soil traces and these perfect underground divisions was undeniable. For years, geologists maintained this formation was natural, but with this new layered data, the organic signatures, the symmetrical radar readings, the perfect boat-like outline, even the deepest skeptics are stepping back. However, acknowledging that this structure is man-made leads to an even more challenging question. How did it get here? There is no ancient shoreline. There is no major river or ocean nearby. This formation sits thousands of feet above sea level, surrounded by towering mountains. It is a massive ship-shaped relic stranded in the middle of a colossal mountain range. The only narrative in all ancient history that describes a massive vessel resting upon the mountains is found in the book of Genesis. If this location is merely a coincidence, it is the most extraordinary coincidence ever recorded by science.